Hold on to your pants because they're about to be scared off. Halloween is around the corner, unless you're watching this later, in which case, happy Valentine's Day. Ooh. And so to celebrate, all of my glorious patrons decided that I should throw away my schedule and give you the top 10 spooky games of all time. And not only the top 10, my top 10 and their top 10. You're going to get two top 10 lists for the price of one, just because I like you that much and because you're the special person out there for me, and I want to give you a little fright. I'm going to give you 74 honorable mentions as well. At the end of the video, you're getting 74 additional games to spook the pants off of you. You have no reason not to be playing a spooky, scary game this Halloween or this Christmas Eve. Santa's coming down your chimney. He's going to invade your house. He's breaking and entering. It's a crime. But we're going to get into the top 10 list. We're going to start with the community number 10, then we're going to go to my number 10 and blaze through these to give you all the games that you need to get scared. And now one of these lists is impeccable, brilliant, breathtaking, and one of these lists was made by a troll. Which one? I guess you're gonna have to wait till the end to find out. But number 10 over on the community is Nemesis. And I think Nemesis is a good pick. Nemesis wasn't on my particular list. It wasn't in the honorable mentions, but it does give you the sense of Alien, the board game. And I think specifically the original Nemesis is a better pick for Halloween than Nemesis Lockdown or Nemesis Retaliation, which will be out at some point in time. The original Nemesis gives you this foreboding presence of the Queen about to emerge from the darkness and jump onto the board and smash you apart. You're all running around the ship. You don't know when this darkness is going to encroach upon you. You don't know when these monsters are going to jump out and get you. And there's something really special about the atmospheric quality that Nemesis provides. Play Nemesis with the lights out and by candlelight will only ratchet up the suspense. Actually, playing anything by candlelight would probably ratchet up the suspense, right, in the darkness, but there's nothing more that gives you that sense of foreboding darkness as you creep along through the hallways, wondering what's going to jump out in the technical corridors of the deep dark down in the down deep darkness. So Nemesis is a game that provides a lovely sense of tension, a lovely sense of crawling forward, and also generally provides a lovely story as well, which is why I enjoy playing Nemesis quite a bit. My number 10 is Ghost Stories. Now, Ghost Stories has been re-implemented by The Last Bastion, but that's a fantasy theme, and we're not talking about fantasy themes. You know what my fantasy is? Being surrounded by a bunch of demons trying to get inside my village, and only Buddha can save me. Ooh, stay away, you naughty demons. Let me pray the demon away. Well, no, that went to a different place. I don't agree with that last statement. Yeah, Ghost Stories is a classic at this point. 2008 is when it came out, 16 years ago. You have 9 places where Buddha exists, and you are sort of 4 monks that are punching the ghosts and the demons as they arise out of the 4 corners of the nether regions and try to get into the nether regions of your city. Ooh. This game is a hard game. It's known as being a punishing cooperative game. I think, like, mathematically, it can be shuffled in a way that you just can't win. But it's not about winning. It's about the experience. It's about trying. This game can be very difficult, and just seeing how well you do against the tide of demons is what is enjoyable for me. Or you can play the baby version where you will always win, and you'll still be able to engage with the little asymmetry of the monks and trying to balance out where to defend against and how to use the orientation of the buildings in this particular iteration. So yeah, great game, definitely number 10. The community number 9 is a game called Skulls of Sedlec. Skulls of Sedlec, where it's spooky because there are skulls. Ooh. If you want it to be spookier, you know what? Just turn the lights off and put a candle down. Makes everything spooky. But Skulls of Sedlec is a solid game. I played this once in 2022 at Origins with Todd. Shout out to Todd. Love Todd. And one day we shall play again. And the whole premise of Skulls of Sedlec is that you have a bunch of different skulls, and all these skulls died because they're skulls, like they were humans before, and now they're just skulls. And you want to arrange them in the perfect Catacombs arrangement to honor all of their deeds, because some of them were peasants and deserved to be on the bottom of the stack, and some of them were kings and should be on top of everyone else, and thus the hierarchy of everything continues as they sit there in a room scattered with skulls and dull colors. Forgotten ghosts of nobody danced like old lovers while nobody known noticed and nobody known wondered how nobody's bones eroded slowly right under them. That's a little rap that I made about Catacombs, which I've never recorded, but I probably will at some point. Not important. What is important is that this shows what you can do a lot with a little. You're drafting simple cards. You going back and forth between your opponent, trying to get the most points to satisfy all of your earthly or unearthly creatures' desires. Plus, skulls are spooky. I think that's it. Let's move on to my number 9. Number 8? My number 8. My number 9. I don't know. This is the second time I've recorded this. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. But that doesn't mean I won't say the same jokes that made me laugh last time. You're the mayor of Pizza Town, and psychic pizza deliverers go to a ghost town where deliverers see the fences. That's it. From BoardGameTables.com. Hey, it's on the side of the box. I didn't say it. You did. You have created this lair, this labyrinth as the mayor of Ghost Town that only you can see. But these poor, hapless pizza deliverers, they know nothing. They just know that they're somewhere. They're somewhere in the ghost town. And so they're going to move to a spot, and they're going to be told approximately what's around them. They'll be like, yeah, there's a fence around you. There might be some ghosts around you. There's like 2 ghosts around you, but I'm not going to tell you where. And there is a pizza around you, but I'm not going to tell you where. And then they have to wander blindly through this town and sketch out where everything is to grab a pizza, make it its way to its respective house, and deliver that pizza before anybody else. It's a silly game. Honestly, myself and Zach just finished playing a game called Lairs, which is the better version of this game. This game's kind of just fine, but the theme, the title, and the feeling of it makes it a worthwhile endeavor, I think. It's very fun to be the mayor and see people wandering around, and it is fun to sort of piece things together, especially as you're thrown through a teleport and arrive in another section of the map, and then piece together, oh, that must be where I was. Oh, now I know where the map is, etc. You get some special powers that you can use throughout. It's a good time. If you like this idea, keep your eyes peeled for Lairs, which will be on Kickstarter very soon, November 12th, 2024, depending upon when you're watching this video, as I expect you've all kept it as a little May the 4th treat. Nothing else going on that day. So yeah, Psychic Pizza Deliverers go to a ghost town, definitely number 9, because it's got ghosts in it, so it's spooky, okay? It's spooky. But you know what's Cthulhu? Well, it's Cthulhu Death May Die, coming in at the community number 8. Community number 8 is a bit lower than where I expected this game to appear. I know people love this game. I am thrilled because I just got my own copy of this game. It's above my head. Cthulhu Death May Die Season 3. And it is a good old come on dice chucker. You know, you have your investigators, they're going to run around a board, they're going to try to deal with cultists who are summoning the Elder Gods, and then they're going to try not to go insane while they deal with whatever the scenario throws at. That's pretty much all I know about it because I have yet to play it, but it is on my shelf of shame, and I'm super stoked to get it to the table, and I know that I'm going to enjoy it, chucking fistfuls of dice, pushing your luck, trying to go not insane, but wanting to go a little bit more insane so that you have access to stronger powers. You want to thread that needle a bit. It's okay to go be a little insane, right? That's why you're here at Room and Board. It's fine going a little insane, and perhaps a lot insane. Let's just all be insane. We're all insane here. Yes, that's my view. This is what I see on a daily basis. And then I just realized I'm not insane. I just needed to go to the optometrist. So that's the community number 8. My number 8 is One Night Ultimate Werewolf. And this is my pick for the werewolf genre. I prefer this over regular werewolf because it's over quicker. And also, you don't have to show up, get immediately eliminated, and then have to sit and watch people have fun for the rest of the time. That's fine if you're not doing it for your game night. You want to be playing games. You want to be actively involved. And for One Night Ultimate Werewolf, some of you will be the werewolves, some of you will be the villagers. You have 5 minutes and say, I think it's you. Did you win? Yep. Great, flip them over, do it again. And while it is fun watching shenanigans go down, I mean, I have been really enjoying watching all of my patrons have fun playing Mafia or text-based Werewolf in the Room and Board patron Discord. That has been truly very joyous and fun to watch. It's not something that I particularly want in a game night. You know, I don't like player elimination because it means people don't get to have fun. And I like it when people have fun. The spookiest thing of them all is smiling at the end of the night, or leaving Chris's house satisfied and smiling. That is truly scary. Just mind-blowingly, death-defyingly, spine-tingling spooky we're talking about. And then the scariest thing is you start to get used to it. The scariest thing is then you crave it. You're like, well, he's always left me satisfied and smiling, and that's weird. But One Night is just such a great implementation. The community's number 7 was also Werewolf. The regular Werewolf, I was talking about the regular Werewolf, but then I was also a game of deception, paranoia, and mob rule. Honestly, there is a game called Werewolf in the Dark, which sounds so funny. It's by the people who made Two Rooms and a Boom, which is the first time I've ever said that title correctly. But that sounds like a fantastic game to play on Halloween. It's basically hide and go seek meets werewolf, kind of like Among Us, where the whole... well, it's werewolf in the dark. You have to hide so that the werewolves don't get you. And if you die, then you get to walk around with a candle, being a ghost, but you can only walk. So funny. Bessie also did a really nice implementation called 1 Week Werewolf, where you have a varying number of rooms and some other members who are in the game as well, and your goal is to sort of not die by the end of the week. You're all shuffling around, you're using the rooms to switch people's positions, and there's a little bit of a tactical positioning puzzle here. It's a nice extended version of Werewolf. You want to turn Werewolf into more board gamey. It's a fun one as well to try out. But that was the community number 7. My number 7 is my favorite game from my youth. The exceptional Atmosfear, The Harbingers. This is like Nightmare 3, where you start out as a little skull and you roll and move your way to try to become one of the 6 big bads out there. Elizabeth Bathory, the vampire, Khufu, the mummy, Baron Samedi, the zombie, Hell in, the poltergeist, Gavodan, the werewolf, or Andeshantran, the witch. And this, I mean, say what you will about Atmosfear, it's not a good game, but it is made a great game because of the VHS component. There is a video that you watch along with the game. It is guaranteed to only be 60 minutes because that's when the tape ends and everyone loses. But the gatekeeper will stop you periodically throughout the game saying, stop, whose turn is it next? Hands up! And if you don't put your hand up, then he'll punish you. And this was a really great learning experience for me, a formative experience to know that I quite enjoyed being punished by spooky men in dark robes. So also a great, like, life-affirming thing. And it also introduced me to asymmetric powers as you go around and try to collect... Look, the first minis game. Look at those minis. Come on, it was ahead of its time, Atmosfear. Look at those minis. Those were the game pieces. Standees. Okay, I have the miniature version, okay? You go around getting these keys, and anytime you get a key, depending upon what character you are, you get to do a special thing. So, like, the yellow key might make you teleport. But if I was somebody else, the orange key might make me teleport, right? You can duel other people. They were low-stakes asymmetric abilities, but it made it feel a little bit more fun than just a regular roll and move. Lots of interaction that was happening. Atmosfear, oh, you can get me spooked anytime, baby. Number 5 on the community list is this guy. This guy right here, who's a standee from Vagrant Song. Vagrant Song is a campaign game that takes place on a train. You are going through these train cars as you move through a number of different boss battles and try to escape this crazy train that you're on and not get too much tunnel vision. Oh, sorry, I moved it. Yeah, okay, sorry. Tunnel vision. Okay. Stop it. This is one that I haven't yet played, but I've heard people have really enjoyed it as you make your way through the train. This is one of the scariest, well, not you. you can save my train any day. But this is one of the scariest standees out there as well. I just feel like the ominous sense of them walking into the distance. By all accounts, the story on this is great. This was picked by, how many people put this on their list? 5 people. 5 people put this on their lists to put it in at number 5. Oh, number 6. And I think that's a pretty good number of people have enjoyed the spookiness of this game, making their way across the train and trying to get out. Their little bindle intact. So that's Vagrant's song. If you're looking for a campaign game boss battler, competitive story-driven boss battler, you take on the role of a vagrant trapped on a supernatural ghost train. You can check that one out. That is the community number 6. My number 6 is specific to this series. It is an entry into this series, but I think it is the optimal way to experience this game system, and that is Betrayal Legacy. So Betrayal of House on the Hill, you probably have heard about it. It appears on almost every spooky list that exists. It is you move and you explore rooms in a house until the house tells you to stop and have a random event happen to you. And these omens and these evil things will be built up. You'll be getting items. You'll be increasing your stats, your might, your speed, your vitality, your intelligence, whatever. You'll be increasing those stats until something happens. It's triggered by the game, by dice rolls happening. And then whoever was holding a specific item in a specific room at that time will get possessed, or something bad will happen to them and they will turn traitor. They will go off to a corner of the room and they'll read a little traitor book and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so naughty, I've been banished to this bathroom," because usually it's a bathroom because you got to go somewhere and you're only one person. And they say, "Please, I want to be more naughty, special book. Tell me how to get out of here." Yeah, you want it spooky. I'm giving you uncomfortable spooky. You'll get out of there and then you'll go and you'll face off against the rest of the people, because now it's in a 1 versus all game as they just bully you and throw rocks at you. And sometimes that's nice because the scenario is well thought out, and sometimes it sucks because the scenario sucks. And there's a real disparity between the scenarios in the original Betrayal at House on the Hill, and I find with Betrayal Legacy, it is more curated. It's a more curated experience. You can be zany in each one of the haunts. The traitor had a little aha, exciting moment. It was still pretty memorable. I played half of this campaign and then I left to do work in many different places and came back very periodically, and we never got together again. But we were having a good time when we were playing it. And I think this is the optimal way to experience Betrayal because it is curated. That's it. That's the reason why it is so high up on my list. I feel it gives that spooky atmosphere as well. It gives itself over to the spooky. And I like a game that creates that spooky atmosphere with its gameplay, and not just because you've done the prerequisite lighting of candles and dimming the room, which you can do on all of these games, to be clear. And that'll make them even spookier, maybe. The community number 5 is one that is near to my heart. It is Arkham Horror. This is a picture of the 2nd edition's board, and in this you are investigators like Cthulhu Death May Die, same Cthulhu themed. It's all canon. Anything that happens here happened to Cthulhu, because it all happened, okay? Anything that happened to Cthulhu happened to Cthulhu. He holds infinite memories, and all of his tentacles represent things that happened to him from this game. In the town of Arkham, you're going to run around to various locations and have random events, things that'll happen to you, hoping to go to a hospital to get blessed by a priest, and instead a nun jumps out of a coffin and stabs you with a crucifix, and then you're cursed for the rest of the game. And you have to roll lower, like your fails happen even more frequently than they usually do. I'm hearing my mother's voice in my head right now. You want to close the gates, these portals that all these monsters keep spewing out of, and you will do this by going around to town to try to pick up these clue tokens. The more clue tokens you have, the easier it is to close gates. You close a number of different gates. The old one will never wake up and rain horrible havoc upon you. You also get to be cool characters like Joe Diamond, adjusting your stats between like speed and sneak, and you can choose when to be sneakier and when to be speedier, and some people are quicker than others, some people are sneakier than others, but there's still that variability as you run around the town, try to fight and avoid monsters, just to pick up those clues. My favorite part were the events, the random events that would happen to you. I had a beautiful dog named Duke who joined my team, and he joined my team for a very long time, and then he made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could close a gate. And it still sticks with me 12 years later. So yeah, Arkham Horror is a great, moody sort of game to put on this list. Thrilled that very surprised that it made number 5. Now this should be said, this is the Arkham Horror series, so other people might have put different Arkham Horror stuff, but we kind of aggregated them together. Similar to Werewolf, it was the series, the Werewolf series, but it's still, the Arkham Horror series made 6 lists, which is different than Cthulhu Death May Die as well. To clarify. Now, my number 5 is Catacombs. Almost too big for the table, says this picture. Catacombs, the 3rd edition, is what we're looking at here. This is a dexterity game where it's a dexterity dungeon crawler. One player will play the dungeon master and set up all these different evil villains that might attack you, and all the other players, depending upon the number of players you have, play the heroes. Now, the heroes can flick themselves at the enemy and deal damage, or they can flick little arrows at the enemy, which are small arrows that you got to snipe people out, or they can hurl giant fireballs at the enemy. It's a very fun, dynamic dexterity game made even better by the different maps. The different maps are just different layouts where there's obstacles in the way, right? You can hide things behind it. There are some monsters that take 2 hits to die, and so you have to flip them over once they've taken 1 hit. But all the while, you're going through these levels of a dungeon that will get progressively harder and harder and harder, and will slowly chip away at your health as the heroes until you face off against the master of the dungeon. If you win that, you win. If you all die along the way, luckily there are ways that you can revive along the way. There are items you can purchase along the way to give yourself more stats and buffs. It's a true dungeon crawling experience, wrapped up in a dexterity form that I think is fun. It's gloomy. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm sure Claustrophobia will be, oh yeah, I looked over there. Claustrophobia was on 2 lists if you want a real gloomy Catacombs thing, but this is a really unique game, an excitingly unique game, I find. This is a game that is by a Canadian company, and I don't know if our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, was lying when he said he enjoyed this game or not, because he's referenced it, but I think he was just picking out a Canadian company. But it's an odd one to reference if you haven't actually played it. So I don't know, maybe the Prime Minister of Canada also will be playing this Halloween, as you flick these discs at any trick-or-treaters that might stumble upon your house. Now, the community number 4 is actually a tie with my number 4, but I've chosen a different version of this. The community number 4 is Mysterium. I've picked Rear Window as my number. Essentially, these games are very similar. One of them has a ghost. One of them has a creepy pervert with a camera. So basically the same. The same level of spooky. The ghost will be giving you these abstract clues, trying to get you to guess 3 objects pertaining to your vision. Very clue-like person, place, and thing. The ghost is trying to communicate who killed them. Maybe it was the weird pervert with a camera, Jimmy Stewart. Yeah, you're a photographer. Okay, you're in the media. You're looking for the biggest scoop. Get out of here, you sicko. You'll see over here the ghost has all of the answers behind their sheet, and they're trying to give out these abstract clues to get each individual color to guess the right pattern of clues. Once everybody has their person, place, and thing, they'll say, we've all received a different vision from the ghost. Then the ghost will have one final chance to tell you whose vision was correct, put everybody on that one vision and say, yes, we all see the same thing. Then the ghost has been avenged. You win the game. Rear Window is a very similar premise in that there is one clue giver, like the ghost, and everybody else is receiving clues. The goal of Rear Window is to determine what people live in which houses and what do they do. Who is your daddy and what does he do? Essentially, the board game. So in this instance, this will be day 1. They've given out clues for what's happening within each of these stories. They're saying that this guy is breaking up with the girl in yellow because there's yellow and he's sad and it's that person, right? They're saying that over here, these people are dining with that woman and trying to create these stories. They're playing on expert mode. Sometimes you just have more simple clues like, this is the police officer and he's heartbroken. This person is the photographer. This person's the writer, essentially. And then you're going to be given a score by the clue giver. Once you put out all your guesses, they're going to tell you how many of them are right. So similar to Mastermind, you're going to know, okay, we got 3 of these right. Wow, we thought we maybe had 5, but we only got 3 right. And then you're going to have to shift up your clues over the course of 4 guesses, essentially, to try to win the game. Now, the twist here, and the reason why I like this more than Mysterium, although Mysterium might be more spooky because you're literally communicating to a ghost. And whenever I'm the ghost, I try not to speak, and I just go, ooh, and I just hit people's pieces violently off of the cards if they were wrong, and I go, and I retreat beneath my screen. So you can't really do that in Rear Window, but in Rear Window, the person who's giving you the clues might be a murderer. So they might actually be giving you false clues, or one false clue specifically. So one of these things, the photographer might be the murderer. And so if you've gotten all of the other ones correct and you're not sure about that last one, you start to wonder, okay, have they just not been getting the right cards? Or are they actually the murderer? The fun thing about Rear Window too is that the person who gets all the clues gets 8 cards, and that's it. You have to choose how to use these 8 cards or get rid of them all. In Mysterium, you constantly have a hand of 7 cards, and you're giving out the cards sort of 1 or 2 at a time, and then you get to draw new cards. So there's a little bit more of a cycle there, and a little bit more of less of a challenge, essentially, than Rear Window, where you're like, no, I was just stuck with these cards. I'm trying to communicate things, but this is all the information that I have. So I think they're both pretty good. I have both in my collection. I think I would give the nod a little bit to Rear Window because I like that element of the clue giver might be lying to you, but I think both are fun. Moving along to number 3, the spookiest number of them all. The community number 3. Oh my god, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. Artie's been turned into a ghost. That's Potato. I don't even know who they are. I'm an absent father. This has been said before. This is a Betrayal on the House on the Hill series. I understand why people put it forward. This is sort of the go-to spooky game. I was keeping this game in my collection for a long time. Until I realized that I didn't even play it. Oh, but that is spooky. Like, that's a way to really ramp up the spookiness. The skulls right here, I should say, going back all the way to Skulls of Sedlec, there is one deluxe copy of Skulls of Sedlec that exists. I have it. It is life-sized, so it's just a number of skulls that you can draft. It is very expensive, but I'm willing to sell it to you as long as you're not a cop and you meet me in a back alley. That is the only way. Those are my stipulations, to be clear. But Betrayal on House of the Hill, yeah, that's how you can add some atmosphere. Oh, do you feel that spookiness emanating from the board game itself and not just the lights? Yeah, spooky. Betrayal at House on the Hill is quintessential Halloween, but I just wasn't playing it at Halloween because it doesn't have a really that robust decision space, and I enjoyed the experience of Betrayal Legacy a lot more than I do from this, the sort of back and forth. But this was a game where, like, early on in my board gaming life, fell in love with, like, helped propel me to see what board gaming can do. I don't think we should knock this game at all. I think it's actually a very fun time. As you go through, it's fun discovering items. It's fun getting that sensation of what can you do. It's just a great time sort of had by all, unless you're Renee. Yeah, so I think it deserves to be on this list. It comes in at a very strong number 3 on 7 lists. That is Betrayal at House on the Hill. There is a little bit of player elimination if you die as soon as the serial killer appears, so there is that. But I think, like, as a set piece, it kind of can hold up. Just like, oh, that's fun. You could have a little Scooby Gang taking the place of some of the characters, like Scooby-Doo or Scrappy-Doo. That's Scooby. That's the Scooby impression. All right, we're moving on to my number 3. This is the cream of the crop right here. This is a game that I gave to Zach because he really enjoyed it, and then I could have it at Zach's and not have it on my shelf. This is Abomination: The Heir of Frankenstein. Really good worker placement game. People will tell you that this game takes too long. They're wrong. That's me. Look, it's my high school yearbook photo. People will tell you that this game is just okay, and they're wrong. This game is quite fun. You are building an abomination. You are collecting body parts. You're going to the graveyard and stealing the freshest bodies that you can find, and you're getting those body parts, which will slowly decay if you don't use them. You see this 1, 2, 3, 4 sort of tally over here. They're moving along. Once it gets to 4, it's going to get discarded. So you got to use those pieces of people, or else they will be discarded and thrown into the trash because they're all moldy and you can't use them to create your most perfect perfection who's just waiting for a head right there. You also have to start with bones. These things are double-sided. You start with bones, and then you can add flesh, and then you electrocute it into life. Or the Frankenstein hunter will be roaming around the board and could catch you and could catch Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, before, or the Frankenstein's monster before it can convince you to make him a mate. And then you get points based upon how high your humanity is, because you were able to keep hold of your humanity instead of getting people murdered so that you could just harvest their organs. The theme is fantastic, and we played there's a variant, like, come on, look at that art. That's so good. Oh, this is a great little, oh, what a great little addition. DIY hospital, they're saying. That's cool. The theming here is awesome. The worker placement aspect is really fun. Oh, look at those DIY tokens. You got brains, you got hearts. Man, that's good. It's very simple worker placement. You go, you get some resources, you got to manage those resources, but I love the timer on those resources as they shift down. That's very exciting to me. And yeah, this is one where I don't know why it didn't get well reviewed, and I think people were worried it was too long, but when we played it, we didn't even play the official Igor variant, which shortens the game, and it still only took like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And that was on our first game. Like, that was our first game. We played it we're like, no, we're not going to do the Igor variant. We're going to play the whole hog. We're going to get ready. And then we were done so quickly. I don't know. This is just a really fun game of sending out your workers. Also, different sizes of workers that can take different spots or do different things in various locations. Great game. If you like worker placement, if you like resource management, and you like spooky creating your monster back to life, well, check out this beautiful smile from Abomination Era Frankenstein. That's my number 3. The community number 2 is a horror movie in a box. It's a solo game, and this is the Final Girl series. There are so many iterations of Final Girl. There have been 3 seasons of Final Girl. So many girls, so many finals. They all got A's on them, straight A's, as they managed to escape the horror fiends who were chasing them down at Camp Happy Trails. Final Girl is the re-implementation of Hostage Negotiator. Oh, this is a good shot of it, where you will face off against an evil villain in an evil place. So here you're facing Geppetto in the Carnival of Blood, but it's structured in a way that you can get a box which will have a location and a villain. And so the more boxes you get, the more locations and the more villains that you have, and the more you can mix and match these things. Essentially, in this village, you're going to try to rescue these pedestrians as they get hunted down by a murderer. Like, this is just a horror film. You're going to roll dice to try and achieve certain things. On your turn, you will choose an action that you can take. You roll the dice and you see if you do that action. You're like, I'm going to try to walk. I'm going to try to put that key into the lock of my car and get in my car. And then you roll the dice and you don't get to do that because you're too scared, and you trip and you fumble and you die. It is about balancing the particularities of each villain against the subtle idiosyncrasies of the map, and against all the different items and actions that your Final Girl takes. Every box gives you 2 additional Final Girls as well, just 2 different additional characters. They have some slight asymmetry. The solo community loves Final Girl. It is beloved by a lot of people. I'm not really a solo gamer, so I've never tried this game, but I've heard tell of people's enjoyment in this game, and the core elements of it, of that role. It's like stat checks, right? You're going through a number of different stat checks, which happen in a lot of horror games. That's kind of strange, like Betrayal at House on the Hill, those are stat checks. What else has it happened in? Maybe just Betrayal. No, there's got to be another one. Cthulhu Death May Die, stat checks. Arkham Horror, stat checks. Vagrant Song, I assume some sort of stat checks because you're rolling dice and seeing if you can not die. But yeah, this only came in at number 2. This could have been the community's number 1 game, but they decided that, you know what, it is second to another game. They don't like it as much as another game. And so I guess even if you're a solo player, you should probably wait for that number 1 game that the community wants you to put on your shelf, and not have this, which was going to be a lot of fun for you, but it probably didn't make it on enough lists. for that to happen. 8 lists, 8 people put this on their list. They enjoy it a bunch. You can get the base game and a couple boxes and probably have a lot of fun with it. You don't need to get everything. But you can see the difference here. We're now at Dr. Fright and Maple Lane. That's definitely not Freddy Krueger on Elm Street. For sure, it's not that, as you try to navigate each map and avoid being murdered by Dr. Fright or the villain. My number 2 is a game that's new to me, that I played just for the first time this summer, but I've been really enjoying it. And hey, you know what? Maybe that's the game that I'm going to play tonight. I have a friend who's coming over who's loves Clank and has been obsessed with learning new games recently. My former friend and now Nemesis Josh is trying to turn over a new leaf, and so maybe I'll play this game with him. Honestly, it probably would be a good one. This is The Hunger. This is Richard Garfield's attempt at taking on Clank, and he does a really great job of it. This is a push your luck game where you are a vampire who's heading out of your castle and heading into the woods to eat as many humans as you can and then get back to your castle before nightfall. Every human is going to give you points. Depending upon where you kill them, you're going to get more points, but you only have 15 turns to get back to your castle, because if you don't, you will burn up in the sun and you will get nothing. It's not like Clank, where half of the map is fine and you still get to score basically all of your points. No, it is punishing. Push your luck. It is push your luck to the finest. The first game that I played of this, 5 out of the 6 of us all died because we pushed our luck too much, and the other person just managed to get back. So it didn't matter that they hadn't collected that many points. They got back and nobody else did. They were the lone vampire, and the next night they went out to our corpses and picked up all of our little treasures and went back to the castle. It's a really solid game, very funny theme. The art style is super fun. It's fun eating the different types of villagers and then trying to hit specific spots on the board so that you can digest them. It's a deck builder where you only draw 3 cards, so it feels very limiting when you have a handful of just peasants in your hand. And you're like, man, my stomach hurts because I've eaten all these peasants. A very spooky game, great spooky theme. It is one that I was very hopeful for, and it exceeded my expectations. Really, really enjoy this game. That is The Hunger. That's my number 2 spooky game. And we get to the community number 1. Now, before we get to number 1, I got to preface something. I do not agree with this. In fact, anybody, I got to come back to you for this. In fact, anybody who put this on their list, I have made my own list. And your names are in red and will be crossed out one by one as I track you down and end you. This is the spookiest message of them all. This is where Chris ends the Room and Board YouTube channel to go on a hunt for justice for anyone who put this as their number 1 game. I know you didn't mean it. You know what I said when it was that there was some list made by a troll? It was made by 8 trolls, 9 trolls, 20 trolls, all the trolls of the Room and Board Discord banded together to put this abominable stain upon the world, that the only way it could be spooky is because it makes you run out of your house screaming for dear life anytime you play it. The spookiest thing about this game is that you'll never want to play another game again because all board games have been ruined for you. The number 1 community getting its time in the sun, you monsters, is the Night Cage. Now, I've said a couple things about the Night Cage. I wouldn't believe this fake news. That wasn't my thumbnail. It has been doctored if you see that image floating around. The Night Cage is a game where you are trapped in a scary cage. I mean, art-wise, yeah, it should be at the top. Look at this. It's very spooky. Look, this art is exceptional. It's so good. Honestly, I need to see who did the art for this. Christopher Ryan Chan. Oh, also the designer. Dang. Because I was about to really compliment you. But the art is really good. I adore this art so much. I just wish that the game was a game. I don't like the Night Cage whatsoever. And the Night Cage has kind of become a little bit of a meme in the Room and Board channel. But these people seem to want me to talk about it some more and to say that if you play it by candlelight as you draw tile after tile emerging into the darkness, you might get spooked. You'll move a space and you'll pull tiles and you'll surround yourself, and you're trying to get these keys and you're trying to make it to a gate, and you're trying to avoid scary monsters and you're trying to avoid falling into pits. Yes, these monsters are so scary. The scariest thing that has ever happened to me was the Room and Board Discord banding together to put this as number 1 on the spooky list. There is the argument that if you play this by candlelight and you blow out each candle every time you lose your light, the game gets scarier. And I think that's true, because you never know when I'm going to be showing up to a game of Night Cage with an axe, just waiting for all of your candles to go out, and then coming in like The Shining to here's Johnny the Table. Okay? And it's just such a shame, because honestly, the art is the scariest thing ever. But essentially, you move, you flip a tile and say, hey, is this a monster? No. Is it a key? No. Okay, I guess I keep walking. I guess I jump back and forth between these tiles. Anyway, you can watch the review. It's not a good game. It's not a good game, and I think it's evidence of it being #1 on the list. And you know me as the sort of perennial troll on the internet, who attracts trolls everywhere he goes. You should know that this is probably a very bad game, which is why it made it to the top of the list. The list has been devalued, and only one thing can save it. There are many sinners here who have sinned against board gaming. Like, this looks like it could be very scary until you realize that the only real scary thing is that there's no game. But you know where there is a game? Our honorable #1. You know what? I'm taking Night Cage off the list. No, we're replacing it with #11. Congratulations, you've just jumped up to the top. We've got Boop, but the Halloween edition. Boop. This is significant. Play this by candlelight and pretend that the cats are being thrown into the abyss of hell to be devoured by demons of the Night Cage. Scatter the Night Cage tiles all around the edge of this board, and play it by candlelight. That'll up the stakes and make it spookier than the Night Cage ever could be. Boop is the community #1. It goes from 11 to #1. Congratulations, Boop. You really won out this one. But you know, the only way to punish these sinners is to put the real sins at top of the list. The #1 game, the #1 spooky game that I would want to play this Halloween is The Others, The 7 Sins. I almost said The 7 Deadly Sins, but that's an anime. The other 7 sins, you can have one player play the sin. You pick a sin like pride or sloth. Those are the 2 that are in the base game, and then you can get all the other sins as add-on packs. Or you can just print out their cards and use Pride and Sloth, Pride, because it's so cooler minis, as the proxy, which is what I have done. And now I have boxes and boxes of content in one box, and it's fantastic. One player will play the sin, and the other players will play the investigators who are trying to stop the evil sin from taking over everything. Like in true Command fashion, there will be no pictures of the actual board. Oh, here we go. You'll go around on this this board trying to hit different objectives, trying to knock out a certain number of big bad boys, depending upon what sin you're facing, and the sin just tries for utter devastation. What I like about this is there's an asymmetry in terms of actions. Every character, every hero kind of gets 2 actions. There are usually 3 heroes in a team, and then when one dies, they get replenished by another person in the reserve, but they will have 2 actions to do on their turn. And then the Sin player has 4 reaction tokens. And so the Sin player has to choose when they react to the other player's moves or not. And the reactions can be to swarm them with monsters, whatever, but they have less, so they have to choose their time wisely and sort of anticipate, oh, is it good doing the reaction now, or should I hold something in reserve, depending upon what the people are doing later. It's a great game, super fun. You don't need all of these greed, gluttony, wrath, envy, and lust. You can just print off the cards. You can find them online. Same with these different teams that you can add to your list. You can also just print out their abilities. It's a fantastic way to experience it, but I think if you can get your hands on a copy of the base game of this, it is a very fun, dice-chucking, enjoyable time. You want to run around and stop these rituals from happening, and the Sins want the rituals to continue, and they want to stop you from happening. Kind of like how I want to stop anyone who put the Night Cage at #1 from ever happening again. This has been the spookiest video. Wait, no, just give me a second. One second. Oh. It'll be worth it. Turned it to red, but there it is. How evil. This has been the spookiest list. 10 spooky games and 10 more spooky games, but we're not done here. We've got a whole bunch that I'm going to list off right now with the honorable mentions. These are all lists that came up on people's on patrons lists, people who enjoy them, people who play a lot of games and really want to get scared. And there were quite a lot of crossover this time, so some decent honorable mentions. Boop, our number 1, appeared on 4 lists. The Zombicide series appeared on 3, same with Horrified. Mists over Carcassonne appeared on 4 lists as well, the spooky version of Carcassonne. We had Gloom, Ghost Stories on 3 lists, Kingdom Death Monster at 2, Tainted Grail, Subterra, Sleeping Gods, and Atmosfear on 3 lists. Nice. Claustrophobia on 2, then we're in the 2s right now. Mythic Mischief, Dark Moon, Abomination Era, Frankenstein, The Last Lighthouse, Ghost Fight and Treasure Hunters, and Don't Go In There all appeared on 2 lists. Then at the top of some lists, but only getting mentioned 1 time, we had Skull, Flashback, Lucy, Don't Wake Daddy, Blood on the Clock Tower, and Anachrony, the spookiness of Anachrony, the world ending of Anachrony. Then we had, keeping going down, The Bloody Inn, Lifeform, Jaws, Davy Jones' Locker, Collab, The Ghost Betwixt, My Father's Work, If I'm Going Down, Eldritch Horror, The Thing, The Mind. I almost put The Mind as an honorable mention because of telepathy. Woo! Harrow County, Binding of Isaac, The Draugr, Spirit Island, Etherfields. Etherfields I had as an honorable mention for me too. Athenium, Mystic Library, Antique or Ghost, Terrorscape, Space Hulk, Death Angel, Railroad Inc., Dreadful Meadows, Onirim, Light in the Mist, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. I guess that's the spookiest one of them all, or it's just got gloom in the name. Ghost Love Candy 2, Don't Get Stabbed, Witchcraft, that's the solo version of Resist, but just spooky. The Faceless, Stuffed Fables, Spire's End, Scooby-Doo, Nightmare Cathedral, Ghost Castle, Fury of Dracula. I'm surprised Fury of Dracula didn't make it on more lists. Vampire the Masquerade, Tiny Epic Zombies, Spookies. Okay, we gotta. I don't often just pull up pictures for each one because that would be insane, but I have to look up Spookies. Spookies! Oh, look out for Spookies! Hobbit games, manage risks and rewards while progressing the levels of a haunted mansion. That sounds great. Spookies! Scooby-Doo, no, I already said that. Space Cadets Away Mission, Septima, Quaxaquedlinburg, because I guess your potion explodes, or your witch is brewing things. Yeah, all right, I'd buy it. Clue, the VCR mystery game. Hold on. That's a thing? There was a VCR mystery game, over-the-top acted and scripting along with clever deduction game. 18 different cases, hosted by the butler, Mr. Did It. Who did it? You know it was the butler. Wow. Then we have Bottle Imp, Bloodborne, Village Attack, Psychic Pizza Deliverers, Obscurio, Nightmare. Nightmare is like Atmosfear. Murder at Tealwoods Manor. Oh, that's a good shout out. Yeah, Murder at Tealwoods Manor is just fulfilling to some people as well. I did a this is my copy that I've kept because I like it. We did a playthrough for Murders of Tealwoods Manor, and the Kickstarter didn't succeed. But then he did it on his own. He's a company in Australia, so some people are going to be getting their copies of Murder at Tealwoods Manor pretty soon, which is pretty cool. That's awesome. Nice, they got a shout. Great pick. Honestly, now that I think about it, that should replace Psychic Pizza Delivers. I'm putting that as number 9 on my list. Psychic Pizza Delivers is out. Murder at Tealwoods Manor goes to number 9. Forgot about that one. Let's dig in for treasure, and then Gowi Toia, 9 Kings of Solomon, which we're going to look up as well because this one. Gotia, 9 Kings of Solomon. Contact, conjure, and worship demons to gain their attention. Hey, demon, I need your attention. And make powerful pacts. Those are your honorable mentions. If you didn't hear the spooky game that you wanted to hear, well, drop it in the comments down below and give us another honorable mention. Let us know what you are playing this last week of Halloween. I hope you enjoy getting spooked like my friend Cody Crane and Damian Depping's podcast. You know, Colin O'Mustard, was on like 100 episodes of the Spooked podcast. If you want to go listen to an improvised scary story podcast that I'm in, like, I don't know, 15 episodes out of the 500. I do that sometimes. There you go. They're closing it down. They're turning up their heels. They're putting up their spurs, and it's never spooky. It's rarely a story. And it's sometimes not funny at all. But sometimes you might get a chuckle. So, hey, you're looking for a podcast? That's got a lot of episodes. I hope you enjoy getting spooked and spookied and getting as many little spookies as you want and desire. I do like this as a theming for a list. It's a fun theming for a game. It's fun to get a little chill and a little thrill. And I hope that you enjoy gaming in this world as well. And I hope you enjoy all your real pagan rituals that you will all be participating in as you signed a pact just by clicking on this room and board video, and now you're part of it. Don't cry wolf, you're in one. That's the expression. You best start believing in pagan pacts. viewers, cause you're in one. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Chris George. I don't have a catchphrase, and I can't even get other people's catchphrases right. There's no hope for me now. I can only hope that you play something other than you know what. Enjoy your games of Boop. I'll see you later.